That's the significance of intercultural and religious questions, and that also are religious questions in schools. And in Hamburg, in your countries too, are two tasks given to different persons and groups who are responsible for that, and that is education, everything you learn, and upbringing, everything about behaving and living, how to live, yes, that's the difference. And if we ask whose task is education, then we would say, whose task is education? Education? School. Yeah. Good. Sometimes it's that easy. School. And upbringing, maybe you may say it's parents, but you will know that of course both parts are tasked for school and parents. Education of course is school, but parents also teach their children their whole life maybe, and upbringing also is of course also a task of school. And there is a third partner.
And what about the society?
The society, yes, part of the society is school maybe, but the society is not responsible for that. Yeah. The society can help, of course, yes, friends can help, other pupils can help, but is not responsible. Who has not a responsibility, has also a responsibility for education and upbringing. It's as easy as the first.
Government.
Pardon?
Government or?
That's school now, no. It's that easy. The child. Yes. The school gives homework, the parents look over the homework, but the child has to do, is responsible to do their homework, so the children to do their homework. So that is central for our project in qualifying parents to parental mentors and children to pupil mentors. There are the two columns of our project. And that is a triangle. A triangle between school, child, and parents, and the child is on top, because that is the reason why we do all that. And the intercultural part is that a person come to Germany maybe and have a different understanding of school. I want to tell about my grandma. My grandma had 7 sisters and brothers. There were 8. And my grandma, and my grandma had also kind of triangle, but that was like that, school children. 8 children, and there's a letter, we invite you to parents' evening, and you get 8 letters of that. Yes, you understand, sometimes it's not possible to have an involvement as we know here, yes? And they had a long schoolway, yes, they had to go up the mountain, that was 3/4 of an hour, they had to go, and that is a strong way in Nieden where they lived, yes? So, education, of course, every parent, every mother, every father is involved in education and upbringing, also my grandmother, of course. But it's a tendency, yeah? It's a tendency, and the responsibilities were different at my grandmother's times. They were different. The children came to school, the school called them, worked different than the school now works with parents and children, yes? And then after school, the children went home, and then 8 children, the great brothers and sisters, educated the younger ones, yes? So it is a tendency, of course, but it was very different. The problem yet now with intercultural question is, what is better, the triangle or that? What is better?
There is no better, there is a context.
Thank you,
There's
thank you,
context,
thank you. Very often there is a prejudice that our school is better, and parents, why don't they engage themselves? Yes? And yes, there is no side better than the other. My grandmother wouldn't have been able to cope with that. The problem is, someone comes from a different context to our situation. Why do people come to Germany? Maybe from Syria to 2050. What are reasons for people from abroad come to Germany?
Because of war, because of political reasons.
Because of war, maybe. Yes, because of war. And I spoke to a lady from Syria, and she said, yes, of course we came because of the war to Germany, but that was not the reason.
Yeah.
I, for myself, would have been able to cope with the war. I'm adult. My parents, my family lives in Syria. I would never have gone to Germany. The only reason why I actually went to Germany is my children. They should live safe. They should have the possibility to go to school or to study if they want to, or to get a good education after school. And we go to Germany because our fantasy is in Germany there are good schools. And that is the point, I exactly know how school works. Like that. They do not know that there is a role and that there are tasks for parents to cope with. And if there is the letter from school, yes, and you know invitations for parents' evening, yes, text, but they read it, they see it and have a neighbor, yeah, please read, and then the neighbor tells parents' evening. And they say, what should I do there? I can't speak the language, and they should take my child and work with him or her. And that is the problem. It's not because they're not interested in their children, or because they don't want to have any contact with the school, or don't want to come clear with the situation, and there are bad predictions possible, but they don't know their role, and that is the possibility for school mentors to give life to this trainer, to tell the parents, there is your part and their tasks. And if you play a role in this triangle, then your child would take the benefit. It's all about your child or your children. Yes? And so that is what school parental mentors do in our school. They build bridges between schools and parents. They take them by the hand, go to the school office, and tell, this is Mrs. Miller. She knows everything in school. Yes, they do, and helps them to come to school and to cope with the situation and with their tasks in the schools. That is the first thing the parents can do. The second, I could tell more, but I won't because of my boss here. That's my boss. The watch. To build bridges between parents and child. I just yesterday had a talk with colleagues who said children from migrant families are often very torn between two total different situations. The situation to grow up as a German child in Hamburg in school, and their family houses were totally other ways of communicating, of thinking are brought forward. Yes, and they can also come to help parents to understand their children and what that in concrete may mean. We have heard it in the keynote, from the keynote speakers this morning. I think they were very impressive because they showed how that theoretically can be built, and they make it in practice. They speak with the families and the children and the parents. They bring them together to help. That is the task for our parental mentors, and they do very different things. They make Eltern cafes, parental cafes in the school. They make support. They go with the parents to the children's teacher and all that. So it's very different what they do, but it has the total different things they do have in common. They make this triangle to a triangle of cooperation, and a much better word for cooperation is luck. Because if children are lucky, if parents are lucky, if the teachers, the school is lucky, then they have the possibility to learn very good and to be successful in their lives and in school and later maybe in their lives. So luck is the most better word than cooperation. But both words are true, and we will find 100 other words for this kind of coming together.
Actually, you enable them to communicate well.
Pardon?
And actually, you enable them to communicate well. With
Yes,
simple
yes,
messaging.
yes.
The problem is the communication. Or
the mentors, yes, the mentors have similar histories, family histories. Yes, they came to Germany and learned how to cope with all the things coming, and so they can understand the mentees who just newly come, and so they don't need to. Yes, they get, of course, very much information and hints by me in our courses, qualifying them. But the most important thing is not all the things I say or I give them. Yes, they may be nice, but the most important thing, everything lives from, is their own experience. They know not to solve this problem this mother has with her daughter, but they know how to solve problems in schools. How they do not know how to support this boy with his father, but they know how to support children in general and find ways to support them, this boy or girl in concrete, this child. That's the way. So, are there any questions to that? I will have a look on the. Unfortunately, we cannot speak now in this round about this topic because I have other. But in the concretion, we will share. I hope you will share. It's your decision. You will share your experience to the thing. But do you understand that, or does it fit to your experiences too? This model. It's a model.
Actually, I did have a question regarding the pandemic. What kind of experiences did you have? Did you implement such a program during the pandemic?
A very good one. I could explain that, but I would ask you to make it afterwards. Yes, then we have enough time. But we yes, because the pandemic and the closing of the schools are a very special topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it may boom our session today. If we start with it, but I have time afterwards, and I can tell you how it helped us to cope with this situation too. Yes, and the parents who were involved in our online things we did came. Yes, they said it was one part for us to come healthy out of the situation. Yes. Okay. Then. Let's begin with swimming lessons. And I will start with a mother's situation, and that is very simple. We have a parental mentor, a woman, and a mother comes to her and says, "Oh, my daughter, my daughter is wearing a scarf or a hijab. And now I found this letter from my school, there were swimming lessons. And I do not want that, or I do not understand. In the better case, I do not understand that. In the worst case, I do not want that. However, what shall I do? Yes, we heard about confusion as a way to, she comes very confused, and what shall we do? How should I cope with swimming lessons? Yeah, it's totally strange swimming. What would you say? Would a parental mentor say first? The first thing she or he says. It's mostly women, so she says. I will tell you. The first thing is, let's take time. Let's drink a cup of coffee and speak about your child. Those people who know the solution, yeah, are the neighbors. Neighbors are everywhere, yeah, and say to you as a mother, father, everything, and yes, but the most important thing for parental mentors is to take time, to listen carefully, and then to try to find a solution for your child, because all the solutions I have in my mind, and there are many, yeah, I could tell the mother very much, but my solutions are my solutions, have to do with my reality. We had the last the stories you have, yeah, is my story that I have, but your story or the situation with your child or your family situation is totally different. So let's take time and speak about you, your child, your family, and then we have hints about the real situation. So then to think how to help the mother. Yes, and then in the most cases the ideas come from the parents themselves. That does not need a mentor to find some possible solutions. But if there's no idea, then there are of course reasons to say how it's arguments to say why it's good that your child is learning to swim. For Hamburg, for instance, it's in the classes 3 and 4, the children are 8 to 10 years old and do not worse courses normally. Yeah, normally the most of the children begin with 13, 12, 13, 14 years to worse courses, for instance, or closed swimming suits, yes, with known as awful word bikini. It's neither a burqa nor a bikini, but it's a closed swimming suit. Is allowed in Hamburg. That is since a few years. That was not always so, but now it's allowed, and she, in this case not he, she can wear this closed swimming suit. It's no problem. Or fun. Swimming brings fun. I know some initiatives of parents learning swimming, like parents learning biking, yeah, who come from countries where there is no biking culture or no swimming culture. Parents who learn swim or to bike learn that is fun, and that the children have fun, and that it is nice to go swimming or biking. And then the risk of death, there are numbers, and that's very tragic, but that is an argument you Orbach can give. 7 pupils drowned in the time from January to July 2021 in Hamburg. And that are, compared to other years, to the year 2020, more. 2020, it was 3. 21, it was 4, and the reason is the children had no swimming lessons in school. And no family, and I have also a mentor who, she has lost her son, who drowned. So no one wants, and Hamburg is full of water. There are 2 rivers, the Elbe and the Alster. There are fleets, there are canals, there are lakes, everywhere. Every day maybe one child falls somewhere in the water. So it is important to reach the parents by their hearts. And that is, or it's a cultural technique, like in Germany, like eating with fork and knife. It's a cultural technique. And if you want to live here, it may be good to be able to swim. Yes, and the last point, but that is the last, is you have to send your daughter to the swimming lesson because it's compulsory. Yeah, it's compulsory schooling. She has to go. And you cannot say, no, she does not go. She has to go because of all these reasons. And number one of these reasons is the risk of death reason. Why it's compulsory in Hamburg and why no child can. And now my question to you. My experiences, do they cope with yours? Do they come together with yours? I would be interested in. Do you know this topic or a swimming lesson?
Yeah, I know this topic.
Yeah?
I saw some examples of it.
Yes?
And which you also expressed that mostly families find solutions to that. But sometimes the families are not listened. That's the worst case scenario. The school can force. They say, oh, your child.
Okay.
Your child should come to swimming without any perspectives. They don't listen to family, then it causes a big problem. Actually, it's not a big problem. Then they listen to families at first, as you said. Mostly the miscommunication or no communication causes a problem.
And no communication means, in my experience, they do not speak with people like me. Because I'm more or less not black-haired, yes. Because I'm German, because I cannot speak their mother language.
Yeah.
That is the point where the parental mentors come to the families and say, hey, that's cool when your child is learning to swim. So it's not to catch them by their brain, as we heard, yes, but by their heart. If they understand why swimming lessons are that important in Germany, then they would go with the school and with the plans of the school, and would have good ideas to cope with this hiatus. It is a hiatus between two ways of thinking, between two maybe cultures. I don't want to call it culturalize, but between the two ways of understanding, how between the two stories. We heard the keynote about stories, because of the two stories who are in not conflict but in communication to each other. Yes.
Can I ask a question just out of curiosity?
Yes.
Like, what is the percentage of the people who chose to send their daughters to the swimming courses with this?
Yes,
bikini?
in Hamburg, 100%. Also in bikini. I do not know that.
Because
I
I think
tell-
that
yes.
will cause kind of stigmatization.
Yes.
Their peers, they would look for like a devil or something. So.
Yes, in this case, I tell the mentors to tell the parents another thing. When you get this writing from school, swimming lessons, then the teacher shall go to the class, the lesson before the swimming lessons, and speak with the children about what I wear. And the boys can say, oh, I have boxer shorts, I have a swimming trouser, and the girls can say, oh, I have a bikini, I have a swimming suit, and this girl is able to say, oh, you know, I wear a scarf, and that is also given with the swimming suit, and I will wear that. And if there's a second girl who may wear that, then there's the tip to that the second girl also wears the suits. And in the schools where I work are more than one children who can wear that. So this girl is not alone in this suit, what is a bit strange for Germans maybe. So it's not a problem of standing outside if you wear that. Hopefully. Not always. There always are boys, hey, what are you wearing? Yes, of course, but it's a task for the teacher also to help the children to cope with that situation. And I think that is quite good. That works. Because the children speak about this topic.
And we're talking about kids from 8 to 10, right?
From 8 to 10, yes, in the basic school.
There is a different story from 10 to 14.
Yes. So in Hamburg, that is one reason. One reason for this age, classes 3 and 4, 8 to 10, is that they early learn to swim. In the 4th grade, over 90% of children can swim. No, over 80 can swim, have the bronze. We have the bronze signs and over 90% have the Seepferdchen. I don't know, seahorse. That's such a sign. You cannot swim if you have that, but you can come to the but you can save yourself. You can swim to the place where you're safe if you fall into the water. Yes, so that's 50 meters. You have already swum 50 meters, and then you can save yourself at last. Yeah. So there are not many children who are not able to swim after that. And in the later classes, 8, 9, 10, when they're 13, 14, 15 years old, then it's not compulsory. There are courses they can take, but they don't have to. They can also decide to make sport, basketball, soccer, whatever. Okay.
Sorry, before we continue, I just would like to apologize because I will facilitate another workshop, need to find a place for it, and my colleagues too, so sorry.
No problem, it's okay. Oh,
Good
okay.
luck, everyone.
Okay, that's no
See you.
problem. Bye. Okay. A second point is sex education in school, and that is similar to some people a problem. Family situation is family. The mother comes to a mentor and says, "Oh, my daughter has got a letter, and there is the word sex education, and I do not want that. My daughter is in the 3rd grade, 8 years old, 9 years old, and I do not want that." That is the pulse.
I'm sorry, who's like you yourself or you as parent?
That's an example. I am not present when the mentors speak with the mentees. I'm not, but of course they tell me what happens, and that is one example someone told of. Yeah, and how to cope with that situation. That is not seldom. That happens quite often. And in Hamburg, the word Sexualerziehung means sexual upbringing. No, upbringing, not intercourse. Not upbringing. Erziehung is education and upbringing. Yeah, sexual. But the parents read sex and upbringing. And if I hear this word, it's totally stupid to use this word. If I read this word, I also think, what has sex with upbringing in the 3rd class to do? I would not accept it. So the parental mentors have to speak about what happens in these lessons. And because they are fantasies, and the fantasies are are really not so that I would give my kind in the hands of such teachers. Yes, that are the fantasies. That are fantasies. So to tell what happens for Hamburg, it's quite easy. There are two sections where that is taught in the class 3. Again, age of 8 and 9 years old. Topic is the human, in complete, the male and the female human body. A child's genesis. Yes, of course, sexual intercourse has its place there. Yes, part of that. And for young girls who have to cope sometimes when they're 10, 11 with the period, what happens with the female body and how to cope with this situation that I have my first bleeding. How to handle that. And the good message now, you are not dying, everything's okay. That is the topic in class 3, and most parents would say, okay, that maybe in Germany they're a bit strange, but they can cope with that. And the second part is in the classes 7 to 9, age 13 to 16, and there's of course sex and contraception topic, but the most important thing in this age is responsibility, self-responsibility. What do I want with my body? What do I want for me, myself? What happens when I fall in love? How have I to cope with the situation that my friend or my girlfriend or boyfriend want something different than I want? So there are also fantasies as if children were educated to have sex or to try sex, and that's of course totally wrong. If a boy or a girl says sexual intercourse is for me just when I'm married, then she becomes strengthened, of course, in her decision for that, and not said, oh, you're stupid, you just try. Yes, but that are the fantasies. That is the problem. Not what happens, but what the fantasies are if you have sex. And the last point is, of course, you can say it's compulsory schooling. If you want, or if you do not want to take part, your daughter will take part, or your son, in these lessons. Does that communicate to your experiences?
Just one experience. Some of the families concerned about this sex education is not because it's going to show them how to make sex, but the main concern is that once these subjects are broached, discussed openly, it kind of creates an openness among the children to discuss this and make it normalize it in their lives. That's their main concern, actually. They know that their child is not going to change. So when approaching the families in this regard, the approach should be kind of fine-tuned, because it's not only the issue is not that simplistic. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So mentors have to reach the heart of the families again with arguments they understand. There are studies, I can give you, if you want to take my contact, it's there, and I will send them to them. There are studies which show that sexual lessons are one of the best working possibilities for children, for young girls not to become pregnant. And that is a point. Imagine your daughter falls in love. No one does anything bad, but suddenly your daughter is pregnant. That happens every day, and how to cope with the situation or the possibility, and that may reach the heart of the people who have problems with that, to understand, yes, sexuality is present and is present in its worst variants in Germany, also because every child, and it's one click to get porn, to come to porn pages. It's no problem. And that what happens there, that is also important, has nothing to do with human sexuality. That children know that. If they see these pictures, even younger children, they say, "Eee, that's disgusting, that's ugly." Get them put it off. It has nothing to do with sexuality for people. It's important to sell that because the picture, the view on sexuality can be that it has to do something with that happens here, and of course it has not. But how can children learn if children do not have the room to speak about that? And your daughter and your son will have contact with pornography. I think that is so. It's sad, but it's so. And yeah, okay.
I have a problem. I have a question regarding that. First, I have a question. What's the biggest problem that you see in that context? To my observation, the biggest problem is that how the sexual education is given. Because the culture plays an important role, and I observed that unfortunately most of the schools do not take this into consideration, the cultural side of it. Because everyone wants their children to be aware of their bodies, and they want to teach them the sex education, but how we teach it is the problem, I think. And I saw that also some of the problems. I did not leave such a problem, but in different communities, they try to communicate with school, but school says we teach in that way. It's not your problem.
It's not negotiable.
It's not negotiable. Then there is no environment or space to make the economy's voice heard. That's the problem.
Yes, I totally agree.
But then, for example, regarding your mentoring,
Yes.
how you cope with that?
Yes, in Hamburg, you can cope with that problem. You have the right as a parent to go to the teacher and ask, with what materials do you work? And they show for instance, there are pictures, but that are drawings, and they are in an aesthetical way, showing what has to be shown. No sexual intercourse, but how is the body, the male, and what is the male and female body in that? It's no photographies were shown, and there, in a way, the children can work with. And if I have, if I'm afraid that something strange happens there, I can go to the teacher, and he or she should show me what he or she gives the pupils or the students, and I can speak with the teachers. It's mostly parents' evenings where they tell the parents what happens. Often persons who have problems with the topic do not go to the parents' evenings, but they can afterwards also go to the teachers and ask them, what do you do with the children in these days? That in Hamburg it's so, but of course it depends of the one teacher. One teacher makes it different than the other. I know that, and yes, yes. So I share your idea and your experience in that case, and then yours also that there is an irritation of what is done with the children. Yes, I share your both sorrows. Sorrows?
Sorry, but anyway, you cannot reject your kids to go to this
No.
class. I mean,
No.
when they go swimming, you can
Yeah.
reject and say, okay, you have to stay outside of the water. But
No, it's compulsory too. Swim lessons are compulsory
okay, so
too in Hamburg.
so it's compulsory, but they can be sick on that day or anything. But like when it goes to sex, yeah, I know. But I mean, like if the parents decide I don't want my kid to go there, they just don't let it go to school.
He or she is ill. Yes. Some teachers say we do that and don't say in which topic. So that can be a topic of ethics, of religion, of literature, of many, and exactly when happens that is often not said. But I do not know it for in every case. But it is, and that is the rule compulsory. Your child, your daughter, your son has to take the sex education lesson. Yeah.
Are there specific occasions that contradict compulsory schooling? For example, such a verdict that contradicts compulsory schooling? I'm sure that there are some specific cases.
Yeah. Yes, there are maybe.
Maybe
For
some
instance,
other German-
swimming lessons. There are children who are afraid of water. They're just not afraid, but it's a disease. Yes, if they see a full bathtub, they are totally. Yes, of course, there are exceptions, but there are no exceptions because parents don't want that to happen. That is not an exception, a reason for exception.
One question out of curiosity: how do you become a parental mentor?
Yes. That has to do with our structures. I can tell you about afterwards in long. We are in short, we are cooperating with the schools. There are 33. We began with 33. Now it's going to 50 schools, and the schools decided to implement structures of voluntarian engagement, and they cooperate with us. And in the school there is a school coordinator who builds up these mentoring groups in the school, and we as a qualifying project do the qualifications, and the Ministry for School and Vocational Education sets the structures, gives qualifying for the coordinators in schools, and speaks with the school directors and all that. So it's a cooperation of 4 partners: the school, 3 partners: the school, us as KBB, and the ministry.
And so the parents are asked by the teachers.
By the coordinator in the school, that is a teacher or a pedagogue or yeah.
And maybe just then one question, because sometimes I think it's really hard to convince the parents that they should engage more and even support other parents, because they do this in an informal way but not in this mentoring setting.
Yes.
So is it easy to find parental mentors?
Fortunately, that's the task of the coordinators. And the recipe to win parents